For more exclusive content not featured here on my channel, like my books, films, and more, log on to my website at DaneMakeYouThink.com.
When you say Black Wall Street, what are you talking about?
The one that was burnt down in 1921 in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Now that's the Negro Wall Street, but it was more than one.
Right.
That was the only one that was burnt down. Every other Negro Wall Street was gentrified and redlined. It happened, the very first one was in North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina.
Yeah.
But it was all banks. That was during the time period where we had over 150 banks at that time, and some of them Jews wanted to do business with us.
He's right.
And yeah, they started handing out loans back and forth with each other. They were doing business deals with each other. Some of the Jews got jealous at that, wanted to make deals with the government in order for them to stop that, prevent them from excelling. A lot of people that came from the walls, especially in Tulsa, looked over there in the Greenwood district and was like, hold up, they doing better than us. And we just got finished fighting in the war. What's going on?
Dane, are you saying the Jews was behind that?
They were with us. Some of them, they were with us, during that time period. Some Jews were, not all. Some Jews were in agreement with doing business with us. We had all of the banks at that time, so they had to implement, especially the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, they had to implement something, the Carnegie Foundation, they had to implement something in order to buy them out. If they didn't want to be bought out, they wanted to get rid of them. They wanted to kill them. That's what you saw in Tulsa. Tulsa ain't want to be bought out. They refused to do business with the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, so they brought their army. They brought their militia over there at night. That wasn't even during the day. That was at night. People were sleeping, literally. And they came over there with trucks with 50 cal machine guns on them, shooting at people's houses. The government still ain't pay for this now. The government ain't pay. And see, I see that they're looking at, a particular case of a survivor right now of the Greenwood district, and she's 103 or 106 years old. Let's see what happens, because the government should not only be repaying her, but they should be repaying all of the descendants during that. I'm talking about the entire Greenwood district need to be getting something from that, because the only thing that's left there is like 2 buildings and a historic marker indicating that it was the Negro Wall Street located there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I said to myself, if they make something happen, if they get to shaking, this will expose a big deal that the government created. Okay, I mean, this was the government's doing. They were jealous, straight up. There's no way in the world you would allow them to have army planes to drop bombs on Tulsa, Oklahoma. Without the government knowing. There's no way in the world you would allow army. They couldn't take them army planes back home. They may have took them military trucks, heavy artillery trucks back home, but not them army planes. And then on top of that, that very next morning, you call for martial law and you sent in a militia. 8 o'clock in the morning, people still knocking the coal out their eye. They ain't know what the hell was going on.
Facts. And our own people was with them too. They were in that militia. Our own people.
The government know what they did right there, and that was wrong. Woodrow Wilson on top of that. That was done purposely, period. And when they went to court for it, they blamed it on the people of the Greenwood district. I still got the records of that. Blamed it on them, said it was their fault. Like they started something.
Because they fought back. They had the same demonstration in Philly, like Dane said earlier. That wasn't the only one.
It was multiple ones.
Philadelphia,
It was multiple ones.
The push movement out of Philly, and the mayor at the time was a black man.
Yeah, Philly, DC, Maryland, Virginia, New York, New Jersey, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Texas. It was all over.
Another good point that he brought up, it needs to be highlighted. It was gentrification. It's still going on.
Yep.
Yeah, and what I mean by this particular type of gentrification that was occurring during that time period was that the government was forcing state governments to build not national, what are they called? They're called interstates. That's what they're called. But they were making sure that they were running the interstates along the same lines where we had our established businesses located.
Yeah.
So that was forcing our businesses to be closed. Keep in mind, not only did we have 150 banks, we had over 100,000 businesses. Like, they were jealous. The government was jealous that we were in control of our own situation, to the point where we were established as our own governments.
Yeah.
We were capitalizing on the capitalist society. We were the main capitalists, to the point where we were doing better than this government that is in play right now. And they got jealous, straight up, and sent Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois as their agents to be nosy to figure out what was going on. Booker T. Washington is the one that coined it, the Negro Wall Street.
The mixed breed in the flesh.
He was a government agent. He was a government agent. He was a government agent.
She's the oldest living survivor of the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921.
My name is Viola Ford Fletcher, 107 years old.
And this morning, she's hoping that a judge in Oklahoma will allow a lawsuit she's a part of to move forward. The hearing is Monday afternoon.
Is it safe to say you are pushing, you and the other survivors are pushing for payments?
Yes, whatever it takes to replace our loss. Yes.
In your lifetime?
Yes, sir. While I'm living.
In many households across this country, they put respect on her name and call her Mother Fletcher because of what she's overcome. She and 2 other survivors still living are suing the city of Tulsa, their sheriff, and other authorities for damages that are more than 100 years old. When she was just a child, she and her family ran for their lives after a mob of their white neighbors destroyed the Greenwood district, known to many as Black Wall Street, one of the most prosperous black communities in America.
That night, when we was aroused by the parents, what was going on, all the shooting and killing and the fires and airplanes, people screaming, people lying on the streets bleeding. Airplanes, people screaming, people lying on the streets bleeding.
In the lawsuit, her attorney argues that the destruction of black homes and public executions of black people were allowed by authorities, and that those authorities can now be sued under a state public nuisance law. They're suing for a victims' compensation fund that could potentially mean hundreds of millions of dollars.
I'm not the judge, but I do believe that the law and the facts are on our side.
A similar effort to go after drug makers for the state's opioid crisis recently failed, and Tulsa's mayor, who led the effort to help find missing black victims from the massacre, is against having today's taxpayers pay for yesterday's crimes and wants the judge to dismiss the lawsuit.
And I'm also opposed to levying a tax on this generation of Tulsans who are at no fault.
Mother Fletcher says she's running out of time to see justice for her family. She turns 108 years old on May 10th. 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 On May 10th.
H.R. 40, to address the fundamental injustice, cruelty, brutality, and inhumanity of slavery in the United States and the 13 American colonies between 1619 and 1865, and to establish a commission to study and consider a national apology and proposal for reparations for the institution of slavery, its subsequent de jure and de facto racial and economic discrimination against African Americans. Oh, hold up. No. No, you don't. Not happening. And the impact of these forces on living African Americans to make recommendations to the Congress on appropriate remedies and for other purposes. Now, what I just showed you, what was going on in 1619 and 1865, there were no Africans. I'm not playing with these people.
Yeah, where the Africans come from.
Exactly. Not happening. I don't care.
I I think they used that term when they were using that term. That was a way or tactic, a political tactic, in order for all other or more foreigners to claim our situation, in which they didn't experience, they never went through, they have no idea. They're being taught that in school just as well as we are, but they never experienced what our ancestors experienced. That's a telltale right there to me, to let folks know, like, you shouldn't be associating with those particular terms that weren't taught by your own family members to you, to let you know that, hey, you should be identifying yourself as this. No, they did not teach us that we should be identifying ourselves as African Americans or Black, period. Right. Unless they were raised during the 1960s, because in 1964, Stokely Carmichael allowed that to be the trending topic amongst the college students during that time period. He was one of them because there was other people surrounding him and forcing him to do that as well. But then it became a popular thing later on after that, 1964, and then everybody started clinging on to that as an idea of a descriptive word for us to utilize by way of our skin tone, when all of us know that our skin complexions are different shades of the color brown. And why would you want to consider yourself as a descriptive term referring to a color? Why? That's not connecting you to any landmass. That's not connecting you to any law. That's not How? What is it doing for you? It's not doing anything, and yet everybody wants to fall back onto the topics of reparations. We went through slavery and all this, da-da-da-da-da. But those that are old reparations that went through slavery weren't called Black. They weren't called African American.
Facts. They was called Negroes and Indians.
So you shooting yourself in the foot by identifying with something that doesn't even exist.
Facts.
And that's what I keep trying to tell them, man. You gonna wake up regardless. You gonna learn one way or another. Especially when it's dealing with this law. The law doesn't know Black or African American. As a matter of fact, I dare anybody, and I challenge anybody to show me a law where it states that African Americans or Blacks have any rights. I dare you to show me that. I dare you to show me that. I dare you to show me that. I dare you to show me that.
And with that being said, we are declaring who we are. We already did that. We're past that stage. But these people are being put on notice by declaration, and it's being sent to every damn person I highlighted. It's going out tomorrow, certified mail, including to the judiciary, the Committee on the Judiciary, Congress, the president, that these people do not represent or speak for us. However, that they need to refrain from using our history for themselves. They are falsely stating who the people are, and we're not going for it. We missed it when Jesse Jackson jumped up in 1988 and said African American. We missed it saying that he didn't represent us. He does not, but we made that very clear in our declaration. But we're gonna make sure we put it in here and put them on notice. We're not gonna wait for a whole bunch of years to go by. It's going out tomorrow. That these people speaking do not speak for the people it actually happened to.
Here's another
Africans
thing.
did not. And they're gonna know, and they're gonna be filed a lawsuit against them for lying under a false identity.
The government need to be sued too, because look at where it says a bill, right? to address the fundamental injustice, cruelty, brutality, and inhumanity of slavery in the United States and the 13 American colonies between 1619 and 1865. Now listen to that, between 1619 and 1865.
Yeah.
Remember, they told us that the first, this is how you debunk the transatlantic slave trade, by the way. They told you that the first Africans arrived in Jamestown, Virginia in 1619. That's not a slave trade.
Facts.
Because in 1619, it was 20 and odd Negroes that got sent back because they weren't in condition to work for anybody that was trying to purchase new labors.
Facts.
They got sent back, but they couldn't return back to the Dutch, so they had to make their way over to the West Indies in hopes that they could grab 5, 6, actually 9 to be exact, laborers that were able-bodied so they could bring them back over here for more provisions. They weren't Africans. So when you're referring to slavery in the United States amongst the 13 colonies of America, are you referring to a set group of people, or are you referring to all? Slavery was big business.
Facts.
And that's what I want people to see. And this is the reason why they're telling you right after that 1619, 1865, and to establish a commission to study. To study. This is not to do anything else but to study.
Damn right.
This is not to, so we could set up some reparations, we could do this, there's not a next step because you're not being specific in your bill.
Facts.
You're not pointing to the issue at hand. So like Sister Betty said, all of those people up above are just following by what the committee wants them to do. So they're not in representation of us, they're in representation of the people meaning the society meaning the government that they work for. Right here, straight up. I'm not going to consider them our enemies, but those people are being misled. So why would I want somebody to lead us that's already being misled?
Well, which is why we're noting in our declaration that they are being undermined, in which they are being undermined, and that we will represent ourselves. These people do not speak for us or on behalf of us. You are hereby being undermined, and I think this bill should be off the table because we're not sharing our restitutions with any foreigners, because didn't know 4 million Africans and their descendants come to the United States in 1690 and 1865. It's a damn lie.
The Africans didn't even start coming here until the late 1900s, period. Yes. All of the people that they're referring to between that time period of 1619 and 1865 was our people. But they weren't being imported here, they were being exported to the west coast of Africa, in places like Ndongo, Sierra Leone. This is well documented by the American Colonization Society. Our people were being, and it was only 13,000 of them max. It wasn't all of us. Everybody else is still here. Just like those that wanted to go west because they were forced west by the government and Andrew as the president. Not everybody went west or to the lands west of the Mississippi River. They stayed on the east. This is the reason why the East Coast, our story is different from the West Coast. Because what the West Coast went through is totally different from what we went through.
Facts.
1619 is when they started colonizing what? Virginia. But not only Virginia, the lands between present day North Carolina all the way up to New York in 1619. And people got to understand that. I showed people the map. They considered this whole East Coast Virginia. Before it was named anything else. That was done by the Virginia Company of London, 1606, by order of King James I of England. He sent missionaries over here that followed the Roman Catholic Christianity traditions in order to preach the gospel They sent the missionaries by way of congregation, the Congregation for Propagating the Gospel in Foreign Parts, 1701. I will smack their head in court. I got all these records. I got all of them. They can't make shit up. They brought Protestantism over here. And this is the reason why you got this government that's a British government that's still falling up under the lines of Protestantism. It's still church government, church state is still the same thing. Correct. Church is the state, state is the church.
Facts.
When you follow by God, you follow by government.
Facts.
That's how they look at it. That's their tradition, not ours.
Facts.
And I have the records proving that they don't care that they put it in front of your face. They call it the Puritan way of life. Puritan way of life. They've been doing this since the 1600s. Since the 1600s, this is all foreign, from top to bottom. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. How did Obama get in there? Well, I mean, they needed to make their relationships with Africa a little bit better. Exactly. And this is the reason why they keep pushing money out to foreign countries and different continents every year, even during the time. I just showed people, even during the time period when they wanted to say we was going through a pandemic, and they forced everybody to stay home and lose their jobs. Meanwhile, they sending millions to billions of dollars to a whole rack of other countries that ain't do shit for our people. But you know what they doing for this government? They continuously recognizing this government as a corporation. As a corporation. But yet, we want to sign up and make all these proposals with these folks when they ain't got nothing to do with us. And they letting you know it. They don't care. No. It's right in front of your face. They don't care. They don't care how much you think you owed. They're not gonna give it to you. Because right now, you don't exist anyway when you calling yourself African Americans and black. Well, when you start calling yourself American Indian and start showing up in your garments,
there you go,
and said, nigga, get off my land, here go your eviction notice, what they gonna do?
Facts.
Mr. Calloway, calm down. Let's see if we can work something. I don't want to work nothing out.
They know we still
foreigners on my territory.
Facts.
All right, that's fire, brother. That's fire.
Let me be the one to decide if I want to build up a wall, let some more of y'all niggas in here. Let me be the one to decide. Meanwhile, look at Texas. The governor is damn near about to call a state of an emergency because why? More foreigners are coming. The reason why is because they see money, 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 money. This is their land of the free.
And the home of the brave.
Listen, they know that they benefiting. That's why they coming over here. That's why them foreigners keep coming over here. They getting paid. They getting rights. How in the world are these foreigners having more rights than us? And we've been here longer than any. Pick one.
We from this soil.
And then they gotta turn around and create a National African American Reparations Commission to study what happened to your ass. Meanwhile, it take them 5 seconds to write a check to a foreigner.
Boom.
Over $1 million and billions of dollars. It won't ever fail. Y'all gonna have to wake up. Wake up. I'm just here to make you think.
Yeah, DNA. Yeah, DNA.